Claude Cowork just replaced my entire workflow. I was running 15 apps in one day. 50 Chrome tabs open, always had to look for exactly what I was working on previously and having to find it again. Copy pasting between Claude and my files, and even though I was using AI, I guess I was just using it the wrong way. Because there was still just a lot of manual labor involved, but all of that changed quite recently. I installed one app, Claude Desktop, with the feature of Cowork, and it changed my entire workflow forever. I really think for most people this can be a game changer because just like me, I think a lot of people are using AI or specifically Claude the wrong way, and I think I can fix that in just a few minutes. Take a look at this. So here's the difference between regular Claude and Claude Cowork, because it's a very big difference the way you have to use these two. Regular Claude is basically just like a chat tab, right? The one you can open up on the website that lives in your browser. You type, it replies, but you can't really touch your files. It can't open your apps for you. If you wanted to read a document, you have to upload it manually. And if you wanted to save it somewhere, you're basically copy and pasting. So what then is the difference? What then is this Claude Cowork, you may ask? You give it a file on your computer, a folder, and now it can read every single file within that folder. It can create new files for you. It can open your browser, it can search the web, it can run code, it can build presentations, it can analyze spreadsheets, all without you intervening at all. You don't have to click anything, just maybe an approve here and there. Think of it this way. The normal Claude, the one you open up in the browser, is just like a smart person that you're texting. You can text it for advice, you can text it for what you should be doing, what is wise, I guess. Whereas Claude Cowork is basically like another employee sitting at the same desk as you. Sure, you can talk with him, but you can also give him tasks to do, and you can easily see exactly what they're doing because they're right next to you. And even though chatting with a smart person is very nice, having an employee right next to you that can do all the tasks that you could be doing, probably even better, yeah, that's a big game changer. And now if you're wondering how to set it up, it's 4 simple steps. It's just downloading it, signing in, selecting a folder where you want to run all your operations, and that's basically it. It takes less than 5 minutes to get your first automation running, and I'm going to guide you guys through it right now. So first things first, we're going to have to go to Claude.ai or Claude.com/download. And then we press download for Mac or Windows or whatever you're running this on. Since I'm doing this on a Mac, I'll obviously download for Mac OS. So I click that button right there, drag this Claude into your applications folder, just like how you install any other program on Mac, or just install it the way that you install anything in Windows, man. It's not that hard to install something, right? Also, then all you have to do is just open an application, sign into Claude, and it'll look like this. All right, now once you've signed in, you'll see 3 different things at the top. It says over there, chat, Cowork, and code. All 3 have slightly different features. Chat is, like I said, just like this smart person. Cowork is basically like the employee right next to us, and code is basically if you want to actually build any sort of real products rather than work on files, work on automations of sorts. This code is what I would, for example, use to build a dashboard or to build some actual app or program, whereas Cowork I would, for example, use to start writing me scripts, start writing me any sort of automation flow of sorts, and be an actual research agent. I would do that stuff over in Cowork, but the first step is to get ourselves a folder. You just press choose a folder, make one for yourself. Like I said, I called it Claude Master Folder, which you can have different sort of projects within. On the left, you guys can't fully see. Oh, you can. There's actually a tab that's called Projects. Once you press that button, for every single different task you have, you can open a new sort of project within this master folder of yours. For example, you open one project for your personal life, things you want to update, automate in that, or you want AI to learn more about you so you can give you tips. That might be one separate project within, again, this master folder. Then another project could within that be, for example, automation flow for your videos or for your research. One could be a project that's basically dedicated to being a research agent, things of that sort. Now, just for the sake of this video, I'm opening up a new project, and you can also just insert an entire file you already have, use a folder as the new base file. This is, for example, if you want to organize a set amount of files or anything, a folder of that sort, you can open it and you can start talking about that folder within this project, right? If I start from scratch and I say, hey, this is going to be my research agent of sorts, all I gotta do is type that in. I press create. If I want to put it in a different location, I can. I press create, and as you can see right now, all it does is give me an overview. Not really doing anything straight away off the bat. I'm gonna have to give it some sort of tasks to go for. And I can, for example, say, if there was files within this project already, I could say, hey, organize my files a certain way, organize them chronologically or whatever, or organize them in sections that you think are wise. Now, you may ask, hey, how is this project going to know what is wise? Well, that's actually usually, in my opinion, the start of any new endeavor. The start of any new project should be to build your CLAUDE.md file. Now, what is that file? It's basically a file that this research agent of mine now, or this new project, is going to read every single time. So what you're going to want to do straight away, step number 1, is realize that every single new chat that you open is going to read this CLAUDE.md file. But, the project doesn't have an infinite memory, meaning that if you open new chats all the time, yes, you may be saving on token usage, right? Because, well, if you're continuing a very long chat, it's going to have a long ass memory. It's going to cost you exponentially more. So you want to often open new tabs, new chats within the same project. But what binds them together is partially memory, right? Just some things that's saved in short-term memory. But most importantly, this CLAUDE.md file. It's basically just the project brain, let's call it. So whenever you start a new project, I recommend, and this is my personal thoughts, to start telling it right here what it is this project will do and what it should always remember. I often call this like a context file, but it can also have two. CLAUDE.md is basically what it builds itself as to which other files it should always reference or should reference in specific scenarios, and your context file, a different one, could for example be what it always reads after the CLAUDE.md. See your CLAUDE.md as the official brain of it, which it mostly just builds itself over time, whereas the context file could for example be, hey, I'm a content creator, I'm looking to use this new agent thing as a research agent, I already have these projects running, I already have these files right here, and I want to achieve this. That's context. It'll then on its own build the CLAUDE.md file to, for example, say, hey, if we're starting to build a new script, reference this file. If we're doing this, reference this file, reference this file, reference this file. Don't always use this file. Always read this file first before starting a new project, etc., etc. And if you're thinking or looking for a few things that it could do, here's just a few examples of my own 5 real workflows that Claude Cowork is doing for me. So for example, research reports. Takes 8 seconds to build a full crypto analysis. So without me having to intervene at all, it sends me a report every single morning, every single evening, and sometimes throughout the day for important things that it researches itself based on parameters I've given it, or it's built out over time knowing my context. Or file organization. I've got hundreds or thousands of different random ass screenshots and I want it to be organized in a certain manner. Well, actually, I just tell it to organize it in a smart and basically future-proof, logical way, and it goes ahead and does it. Takes like a minute. Presentation building, this was something I used to do, nowadays not really anymore, but you've got a ton of documents and you want to talk about it with your team. Instead of having to make a whole freaking PowerPoint yourself, it gives you a 12-slide deck in a minute or two with all your documents without you having to open anything. Daily brief automation, this is my most crucial thing. Runs every morning at 8 a.m. Gives me a whole daily brief for what I should be doing. It also have a nightly brief of sorts where it gives you the stats of the day. How are things? Again, it just reads all my files that it knows to read. And then gives me feedback on every single thing that, again, it's built over time, or does some data analysis. I've got some very massive files, which I hope it's not going to read every single time. Well, I know it isn't because we set parameters for it, meaning I've got some spreadsheets that have thousands upon thousands of lines, right? And so one thing I built yesterday for it is I told it, hey, think of a smart way so you don't have to read this entire spreadsheet of tens of thousands of different lines or whatever every single time. Draw the best conclusions out of it and make a proper reference file so that every single time we want to get something out of this massive file, you can use the smaller sized file that references the bigger one in a smart way to just save on token usage. Because again, remember, to use this Cowork feature, I think you need Claude Pro. But I think if you're actually going to give it some proper tasks, already you're starting to notice that the simple Claude Max, which I think is $100 a month or something like that, is already not that much. And even if you're giving it some slightly more intensive tasks, you realize the $200 plan a month is also not that crazy much. And the nice thing is I can think you start out with 20 bucks a month without really finishing up at all. But the more you get into it, I think that exponentially your costs will also grow, especially the larger your files are going to become. But if you're doing research analysis, for example, if you don't give your automated tool here the right ropes to make sure it's working efficiently, and you always continue on in the same chat, it can easily start costing you a pretty freaking penny. So it's something you want to optimize along the way as well. It's just a nice little tip. So I think the next logical step is just to explain a few different things in the actual interface itself. So like I said, you can type in here every single thing you'd want your research agent, which by the way is just an arbitrary name. You can let it do anything that you want, right? What you want it to do. However, there's a few cool features that you can see over on the left. So let's quickly run through them. Scheduled. Where is this interesting? Well, if we go back to this project folder here and we go, for example, to our research agent, we can actually say, hey, I am a content creator looking for a new research agent. Ask me questions to build a CLAUDE.md file that you can reference from here on forward and build me a research report every morning at 8 a.m. based on this, right? So we press let's go, for example. Let's see what it does. We open up this thing right here. It's preparing a session, and we can see over on the right, it would like access to files in your documents folder. Why? Well, because the file where I placed it at right now is somewhere within documents. So again, you can approve or not approve this depending on what, of course, you want this co-work session to have access to. In my situation, I don't really mind. You can see over on the right, it right now only has an instructions file. As it continues on, there's a progress bar right here. This progress can have significantly many things in there, depending on what Claude thinks it should be doing sequentially. So it can be right there. Now, for example, I asked it to ask me some questions to basically build this instructions file and this context file out. So what type of content do you create on which platforms? I create YouTube videos, just social media. Let's press them. I can also type, oh, you can't see it fully, but it's two things. We press continue on. Let me show it to you in this way. What topics do you primarily cover? Let's just say tech and AI, business and finance. Sure. What kind of research do you want in the daily morning report? Well, content ideas, competitor analysis, breaking news. Sure. How long do you want the report to be? Well, we want it to be a standard report, 3 to 5 pages. You can see we've answered some of the questions. We could also give more context if we want, but we can always do that later. This is just to get started on some sort of research analyst. Which platforms are we most active on? I can also say, hey, you know what? Skip all that. I don't want to give it any answers, but we'll do it. We'll just go for Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, let's just say. What are some of the channels I take inspiration of? Let's just pick a few, and I can type in different things if I want to as well, but it doesn't matter. And what's your YouTube channel name so I can tell the report to basically get context from that, but skip that for right now. I want to get it US Eastern time, whatever. Let's give it a little second to load on in. Again, this is actually kind of strange. Every single time I've built this before, it always knows exactly which time zone I'm in automatically. But hey, you know what? You can build this out as you go. You can see over on the right, it now built a progress bar. It just basically categorizes for itself what it should be doing next and what it should be doing afterwards. There's also a little button on the right where if you are saying, hey, you know what, change the progress of this or have a little addition to make, you can press the plus. And now you can see it's basically working alongside me because, well, I could be doing whatever right now, and while I'm doing whatever, this thing is working for me. And again, I could also run this in multiple different sessions. And what I mean is, if we go back to project, research agent, for example, I can actually now ask it to do something at the same time. For example, start counting bananas. I don't know. Pick any sort of task you want to give it. It can run multiple of these sessions at the same time. Perhaps we want one to start making our daily reports, right? And we can tell it to keep running this constantly. We can also now open yet another session here where within this project it's doing something else. For example, this is going to be a competitor analysis while the other one is writing scripts at the same time. You can see sometimes every now and then it'll ask you for permission. This is here to basically tell me, hey, if you keep your computer on, that is, right? I want to get a morning report every time at 8. It's asking for permission. I say, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and schedule that. So right now it's going to be getting me this report every single day at 8 a.m. Where can you find all these different things? Over here on the top left in the scheduled section, you can see right now all I'm getting is a daily creator research at 8 a.m. You can see here exactly what it's going to do based on the context that I've given it. And again, I can change this over time. I can build this out whatever way I want it to be. But again, that's a thing you basically do over time. There is one more cool thing though that I've yet to explain, which are skills. So what exactly are these skills within Claude? Well, there's two parts. One is there's basic community skills, perhaps from Anthropic themselves. If we go back to Claude, we press customize and go to the skills section, you can see there's a couple that have already shown up right here. If we press the little plus right here, you can also browse even more skills. And these are basically just set workflows. So what exactly is the difference? Well, without any skill, which you can of course save for yourself, the setup workflow has to be done manually each time. Remember exact steps and context, can't schedule automated runs, repeat the same work over and over, tedious, error prone, and exhausting. If you build out a skill or you take one that's already been built, it's basically just to set up ones and save as a skill forever. Claude remembers every single part of it because again, it's saved as a skill. Automate with scheduled tasks, run it 100 times the same way every single time, fast, reliable, and hands-free. But of course, you can also just tell Claude exactly what it should be doing without officially saving it as a skill. It's just a cool feature you have in case you're interested in it. I don't think this is going to be a starting feature for many, but what is potentially is actually downloading other people's skills. So if you go look on GitHub or on X or some other different platforms, you'll most likely find a lot of people talking about their automated workflows they already have set up, or the ones that Anthropic built out already, like I just showed you over in Claude. There's a lot of different time saving that can be done by using other people's skills. I've now filtered it for only Anthropic and partners, but well, you can also find other people's skills in here that just may save you a lot of time. If you want to install it, all you have to do is press the little plus icon, little plus button. It'll get it done automatically. And the only counter to having one or new skills would be that it takes up some extra tokens for being loaded in. But for the most part, if you think it's going to be useful, get them. Why not? So I'm going to say this was a lot of the basic stuff, but I personally think if you're getting started with this whole Cowork situation, you should start small and expand slowly. So don't give Cowork access to your entire computer on day one. Start with a single project folder, like I for myself called it like the Claude master folder, and start just branching things in there. If you want it to basically organize things, just drag them in that folder. Don't give it access to your whole computer unless you have a separate device for it, because, well, it's better to start out small and understand the limitations, understand how it's going to delete things if you give it access, etc. And basically build trust with this one folder first, run it with some test flows, and expand gradually. Also, always make it a review before executing something. I personally don't think this is too important if you get how Claude operates, but there are, of course, a few things you should make it review all the time, like, for example, deleting folders. You don't want it to automatically delete a lot of different things. You want to always manually approve it, I'm going to say at the start. Even for ghost files or things that it thinks are duplicate, perhaps they weren't exactly. So if you build out your flow to make it approve or run, I'm going to say, some sort of analysis on these things first, then perhaps you can get rid of it. But at the start, you want to always review every single action. It wants to use the internet. What exactly does it want to use? It wants to use your Claude by Chrome, right? Because you're going to have to use the Chrome extension for a lot of these things. What exactly is it doing, and do I want that? At the start, you want to approve many of these things, but eventually you'll get a good grip of how your system is running. And again, you're going to want to use these projects for real work. You don't want to just have one chat running for all 1,000 different things. Think of whatever you want your project to be about, and one project is one workflow with memory. Don't do every single thing in the same project folder, branch them out, because otherwise it's going to have a ton of context that it doesn't need. So it's going to run all these different things every single time. It's going to use a lot of tokens that is unnecessary. So think of one specific purpose. Think of one thing you want to do and automate, for example, and start with that. And like I said, branch out as you go. But honestly, and here's my most crucial tip out of every single thing I've said thus far, in my opinion, the best way to get started is by just downloading it and start talking with it. Because you'll realize pretty quickly that you want to start out basic, but if you let it ask you a few questions, you'll see it starts to branch out a lot of different ideas and a lot of different points, which will make you want to talk with your AI more. And the more you start talking, the more you realize the different opportunities you've got, the different things you can start building, or the different workflows you can automate through this whole project, this whole program, etc. Also, one thing is there's different tools you can download to use your AirPods here to talk with your AI instead of having to type everything manually. You also find a ton of different ways to organize your files, for example, through an Obsidian Vault. There's a ton of different things you can do, but the most important part is to just get started. There's this saying of the best time to start was yesterday, the second best time is today. And I think for all this AI stuff, it's very much true. The most important thing is just to start your first chat. The rest will figure itself out as you go. And I'm going to be posting on this channel AI videos every single day, things that are cool to learn, my progress with my own projects, etc. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if this is some stuff you're interested in. And I'll be back with another AI video somewhere tomorrow because, like I said, I'm going to be posting on here hopefully every single day. I'm going to try to never miss a day. This is my journey. It's going to be a fun time. Wow. I'm excited about AI though, guys. But yeah, that's about it.